your dedicated channel for exploring the smartest ecosystem and the most innovative tokenomics in the Web3 space. So in today this drive, we are going to explore the Bitcoin ecosystem once again, but this time we are focusing on highly specific and powerful features designed for communities build. So we will analyzing the reality and the distribution mechanics, especially focus on what the platform call invitation benefit to or the contribution value reward. So let's start by looking at this slide. So this slide as the cover of my presentation on the reward tier and the distribution system. The core focus of this presentation is invitation benefit 2, which is officially known is in the Bitcoin network as the contribution value reward. So, and the priority objectives of this specific reward is to serve as its high path acceleration mechanism. So, it accelerates the output of your proof of burn earning for being an app participant and promoter in the ecosystem. It accomplishes this acceleration through a mathematically balanced distribution network. The reward you can potentially earn are directly tied to the global burn volume of the entire network. This means that as the entire ecosystem grows and more tokens are burned globally by all users, the potential reward distribution through this tier scale up proportionally. So this ensures that the platform remains financially sustainable while still having rewarding its most active adventurers. So how let us move forward to this slide. So start explaining the financial node step of the anti-progress, which is earn your initial contribution value before you unlock any of the advanced highly paid reward tier. You absolutely need to understand how to accumulate this basic point. So the system is designed to be high transparency and use a strict one-to-one ratio for early point generation. So Wu once stated that you personally burn the amount translated directly into a contribution point for every single dollar value you burned on the platform. You receive exactly one contribution point. So to make this mathematical concept easy to understand, the slide provides a clear real-world example. So if you personally execute a burn of $1,000 worth of BCT and DRDR token, the smart contract system will immediately grant you exactly 1,000 contribution points. So this form you personally baseline contribution value. So to extend this excess SAM1 to one ratio to your direct referral. So when you invite someone directly to the Bitcoin platform and they participate in the burn progress, their burn value also grant points for you. For instance, if you directly refer burn $1,000 worth of the token, you will receive an additional 1,000 contribution points added directly to your account. So the contribution points are the actually most important metrics in this ecosystem. They act as the primary measurements for your time advancement and your overall reward qualification. So the more points you gain for your own action and your direct network, the higher you will climb in the decentralized reward tiers. So next we will strictly talk about our concept. So this slide introduced the advanced concept of unlocking value. While personal burn and direct referral are great for getting started through scalability and massive acceleration in the Bitcoin ecosystem come from the team burning. Unlocking team burning allow you to tap into the activity of your broader network, but it comes with specifically hardcore qualification rule to answer only active community leader benefits. So the first major concept on this slide is the qualification rule. To disable the team contribution value charting on your account, you cannot just rely on one big referral who does all the work. So you must possess at least 3 separate active direct referral address. So this proves to the system that you are actually actively expanding the network horizontally. So the second major concern is over the activity requirement. So simple having 3 referral address is not enough if they are completely indirect or empty. Right? So every single of one quality address must execute a minimum burn of $100. So once they call this $100 minimum threshold, they began to generate what the system calls small area regional value. So this small regional value is critical because it puts your total contribution point into the highest, more lucrative tier category. So the first final concept of this slide explains the underlying philosophy of the network goals. So the anti-obesity contribution system is specifically designed to have you work collective effort over the solitary participation. So it's not just about individual burning mass amount of capital by themselves. It's about burning its high value substantial networks of active retail users who are participating in the proof of work mechanism together to drive the value of the platform of work. So let us move directly into next slide here. Okay. So we introduce the first 2 levels of the reward system, tier 1 and tier 2. So these are early reward tier, but we offer incredibly powerful incentive for community builders who are just starting to scale their network. Right? So the first, let's look at the tier D1. To qualify for this tier, you need to accumulate 30,000 contribution points. At redesigned purity, this translates to $13,000 in qualified team burn value. So once you hit this threshold, you unlock a reward equal to 4% of the total network burn. It's very important to understand it. This is 4% of the global network burn, not just your own team. So secondly, the tier D2 requires higher thresholds of 200,000 contribution point. Achieving this unlock a reward pool equal to 3% of the global network burn. So first, we need to understand the contribution method for this early tier. Both D1 and D2 distribute their rewards using a balanced formula. 15% of the reward pool is divided equally among all the users who qualify for that tier. So this is very important concept. So the other 50% is distributed based on the rate system tied to the to new addition, which includes your personal burn, your direct revenue, and your small air regional value. So this is hybrid approaches ensure that both new qualifiers and the consistently active burner are very rewarded. So the fourth is each tier has specifically retention periods. Tier D1 has 10-day retention period, while tier D2 extend to 20-day retention period. We will explain exactly how retention works in a few moments, but simply put, it is the window of time you have to accumulate your points. So move forward, let us analyze this slide 5, which covers the mid to high reward tier, specifically tier D3 and tier D4. This is where we see the system scale up for major communities needed. So the tier, okay here. So the tier D3 as a bridge to the elite level. So it requires a 1.5 million contribution point at this level. Qualified users share a reward pool consisting of 2% of the total global level burn, similar to the earlier tier. The distribution remains at the 15% space between the equal divisions and raid platform. So the retention period for tier D3 is expanded to 30 days, giving leaders as a full month to accumulate the accelerated value. So next is the tier D4, right, which represents a massive milestone in the ecosystem. So this tier require is highly significant 10 million contribution point. So the reverse pool at this level is 1% of the global level burn, and it comes with 40-day retention period. So the more critical information of this slide is the tier D4 street. Once you reach tier D4, the distribution mechanism completely changes. Instead of the 15 over 15 space you use it in the lower tier, 100% of the tier D4 reverse pool is divided equally among all qualified users. Because reaching 10 million points is extremely difficult, the numbers of users in this tier is very small. Therefore, dividing the pool equally result in the massive dividends for those top tier leaders. Now let us examine this slide now. So this slide dedicated entirely to the tier D5, which is maximum reverse level in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So this tier represents the elite platform, and it is designed exclusively for the most impact global communities leader. The requirement to the tier D5 is 15 million contribution bond. This requires an active, thriving, and highly engaged global timeline. So the rewards for reaching this pinnacle is 0.5% of the global level run. While half 8% may sound more than the 4% of at the tier D1, you must remember the context. The D1 pool is served by thousands of early users, right? But however, the tier D5 pools may only be served by a handful of elite leaders worldwide. So therefore, the actual payout per person at the tier 3 is exponentially higher than any other tier. So the payout structure at the tier D5 follows the same rule at the D4. This is a 100% equal distribution among the qualifier. So this creates a true acceptable level for profit sharing. Finally, the tier D5 over the longest cycle in the system, which is a 15-day retention period. This is extended window given mass never build the time they need to coordinate a large-scale global participation. So let's here. So this slide explains the rolling retention mechanism. So these rules are the mathematical engineering that keep the reward system fair, active, and sustainable over the long term. So the first rule is the data rollover. So the system uses a sliding window rather than a fixed character mode. For example, if you are aiming for tier D1, which have 10-day retention periods, your point accumulates over 10 days. So if you do not hit the target by 11 days, the system drops the data from day 1. It then calculates your total from day 2 through day 11. So this prevents users from simply splitting on all values forever and focus continually network growth, right? So the second rule is the trigger. Also, qualifying for a tier does not require you to wait until the end of the month or the end of the qualifier. The very second your contribution point hit the required threshold, the reward mechanism triggers immediately. So the first rule is distribution. When the trigger fires, the payout happens instantly. The decentralized smart contracts automatically execute the calculation and distributes the funds across the vehicle and raise the pool directly to your wallet. So the fourth rule is the time reset. So once your reward is triggered and payout, your retention time instantly resets. The old value is created, and you begin a fast cycle to aim for your next tier payout. So this cyclical design answer the mining pool is never drained too quickly and remain mathematically sound for your years to come, right? So this at the end of this this slide. So thank you for watching, and I will explain more about contributes in next video. So see you later. Bye bye.